Hi friends and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hello. My name's George Agambar and I'm a UK music producer. In today's video we're going to be having a look at bass guitars and kick drums and their relationship with each other. We're going to be having a look at one fairly simple technique called sidechain compression, and this will help the bass and the kick gel better together and help the kick really cut through our mixes. So if you want to learn a bit more about this, then make sure you stay tuned and hit the subscribe button and notification bell for new videos every Wednesday.
And things will never be the same when I hear your name since you kissed me in the rain.
Sidechaining is a really commonly used term and technique. It's when we trigger an effect on an audio track by using another audio track. Basically, one track tells the effect what to do on the other track. Today we're going to be having a look at the kick drum and the bass guitar, and we're going to be using sidechain compression. But why do we need sidechain compression on these two tracks? Well, essentially, a lot of the time the kick drum and the bass guitar sit in the same frequency ranges. This means they can compete with each other, and so we end up with really muddy and boomy low end. Neither one of the instruments particularly cuts through, and that's not what we want. We want to choose one instrument to prioritise and make that really cut through in our mix. And normally we choose to prioritise the kick drum because that's what drives the music forwards most of the time. So by using sidechain compression, we will be telling the bass guitar to be turned down every time the kick drum hits. And this will let the kick drum really cut through and sound really clear and punchy. So let's have a look at how to do it. The key thing to remember when using sidechain compression is to put the compressor plug-in on the instrument or sound that you want to be compressed, or essentially turned down. So in this case, as I'm prioritising the kick, I'm going to put the compressor plug-in on the bass guitar, as that's the thing that I want to be turned down. I'm in the sidechain menu on the compressor plug-in too. The first thing we need to do is to tell the compressor which track is the sidechain input, which track is going to trigger the compression. Then we set the parameters of the compressor in the way that we normally would. It's important to pay attention to the attack and release times. The faster the attack time, the quicker the compression will kick in as soon as the kick drum is hit. This normally gives us a much clearer sound, but longer attack times can sometimes sound more natural. If you have a quick release time, the level of the bass will return to normal quickly after the kick has been hit, which can give us a pumping effect. So that's also something to listen out for. So I've set the parameters with the aim of making the kick drum sound really clear when played together with the bass. So here's the bass and kick without sidechain compression and then with. You can hear that the kick was certainly cutting through better because of the space that the sidechain compression created for it. The attack time was fast, but I made the release time slightly longer to try and get a nice balance between clarity and sounding natural. We do this by using the filter controls on the compressor. So we have on and off buttons, which are fairly self-explanatory. But to help us set up this filter control, we need to turn the listen button on. This lets us hear the frequencies that are currently triggering the compression. So if we solo this track and select listen, let's hear what's currently triggering the compression. Okay, so at the moment, all the drums are triggering compression, but I only want the kick drum to. So the first thing to do is select the mode, or the type of filter, for the kick drum. I'm going to need to choose low pass. Then, using the frequency dial, I'm going to set the cutoff point of the low pass. I'm going to play the track and adjust it until I hear just the kick coming through. I'm quite happy with that. The Q dial sets how big the frequency band being used is. But as this is set on a low pass filter, I don't need to worry about that this time. So here's the sidechain compression on the bass track without the filter on, so with all of the drums triggering the compression, and then with the filter on, so that just the kick drum triggers the compression. You can hear just how much of a difference that made, from barely hearing any bass at all to hearing bass but allowing the kick drum to cut through. So that's the basics of sidechain compression on a bass guitar using the kick drum as a trigger. I can't tell you how many times I've been so unhappy with one of my mixes and just felt like it's not punchy and energetic enough. But then I've used sidechain compression in this way and it's made all the difference. And what's so great about this technique is that you don't just have to use it on bass guitars and kick drums. For example, if you feel like your vocals aren't cutting through your mix enough and they need a bit more space, perhaps you can think about trying to sidechain compress the whole mix using the vocals as a trigger, although I would be careful to try and make sure that it still sounds natural. But I really would recommend experimenting and playing around and having some fun with this technique, as it's a great one to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful and interesting. Let me know what you thought in the comments below and if there are any other videos you'd like to see in the future. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and I will see you again soon.